Our MC Jinboy and his sister Jinbo Yui are being grilled by the press over the scandal involving their father, a former police officer. They can't even walk out of their own front door without reporters crowding them and firing off crazy questions. Bloggers, journalists, and everyone else are having a field day poking fun at Yui and Yuki. With the whole press watching, the two siblings are asked to say sorry for what their dad did. Even one of the reporters dared to ask a tough question about whether their dad is having adult relations with Yui. Yui can't stand the insult and storms off in a huff, leaving Yuki standing there alone. He bowed his head, apologizing for whatever his father had done. Yuki is furious with his dad for putting him through such an awkward moment, even though he didn't do anything wrong. Companies and magazines are happy to use kids like Yuki and Yui for their own profit. Since everything is ruined, there's nothing left for Yuki or Yui. They also have no place in the world to call home. On top of that, Yuki is being pushed around by a group of guys. They are using his dad's bad reputation to push him into doing things he doesn't want to do. All Yuki can think about while taking a beating is that he didn't do anything, yet he keeps getting hurt. He stares into the dark, asking himself why he has to survive this nightmare. When the bullies start having fun at his expense, they grab his head and force him to look at pictures of his dad with the girl he was caught with. At the top of the bullying pack stands Ku Akira, the worst one of them all. And Akira tells Yuki that, since he can't afford them, he's going to become their personal toy instead. Yuki can only guess if he's doomed to spend his whole life as a toy for someone else's amusement. Yuki could only watch in helplessness as the delinquents thrashed him, mocking him with promises that they would return. Yuki really hopes he can somehow turn the mess he's in back around. Suddenly, a status screen flashes before his eyes, announcing that he has been picked as the host of Tin Bandit. He walks home with his mind racing, trying to figure out what it all means. In his head, he thinks it's just some kind of game. And as soon as he walks through the door, his sister is clutching a stack of scandalous letters. Yuki tries to cheer up his sister by promising to cook dinner for them. Yuki wonders when everything will finally end, since he fears his sister can't take any more pain. Yuki remembers that life wasn't always this way because after their mother passed, their father raised them alone. His dad was always there to catch him when he felt like giving up, and even though they didn't have much money, their bond made them truly happy. Yuki's dad was a detective, so he wasn't home often because he was always busy solving cases. But then Yuki stopped seeing his dad as the hero he always admired after those embarrassing pictures went viral online. From that moment on, his father lost his mind. He stayed inside his room, talking to himself and swearing that he never did what they said he did. Even when they try to give him dinner, he knocks the plate away and shouts that he is innocent. Yuki always tries to calm him down, but he has finally lost his cool. Yui is terrified of everything going on, and all of it has left her shaken and scared. Yuki clings to the hope that his father is innocent, believing every word he says about not doing it must be true. Yui doesn't trust her father and tries to stop Yuki from believing him when he calls their dad crazy, urging her not to listen to a man who's lost his mind. While Yuki tries to comfort his sister, a delinquent shows up at his door, saying they want to play with him. Yuki points out that it's getting late, but the delinquent plays her a video of his own beating and warns he'll share it if she doesn't do as he says. Then the delinquent drags Yuki off to a private spot so he can do whatever he wants to her. Yuki tries to tell the guy he's had enough for the day, but before he can finish, the guy lands a punch right on his face. The delinquent kicks Yuki to the ground and tells him he has no say in what's about to happen. Yuki begs the delinquent, claiming he isn't being rebellious, but the delinquent coldly replies that a toy like Yuki has no right to make excuses before declaring he'll be playing with him forever. So as Yuki begs him to stop, the bad guy rages and stuffs a handful of sand into her mouth. The agony Yuki feels is so intense that the status screen from earlier suddenly flickers back to life. And him a second chance to change his life by giving him special powers. Yuki coughs up sand, knowing there's no way to change what has happened. The system tells him he can't change things because he's too weak-willed and always runs away. Yuki asks what he should do, and the system shows him two choices: take power or walk away. Yuki realizes he'll be mocked forever unless he risks everything to find out if real powers exist, so he grudgingly agrees to get them. Instantly, the status screen shifts to reveal Yuki's first power. He can steal anyone's status within his line of sight, but only once per day. Now that things have changed, Yuki knows his time as a toy is finally up. Yuki stood up and challenged the delinquent to a test. His new ability, talent theft, letting him steal one person's status from anyone he can see, though he could only do it once per day. Yuki finally stands up to change his own fate. The delinquent is shocked to see Yuki acting tough, so he snaps and demands to know who the kid thinks he is. Then the screen shows him what his current stats are. When it comes to fighting, he's ranked as an F, his raw strength is also an F, his defense is an E, his speed is a D, and even his charm and sharp mind are only an F. Yuki stares in shock, realizing just how weak his stats have become. Just as he reaches for the delinquent status, a punch straight to his mouth sends him stumbling back. Yuki crashes to the floor, while the bad guy looms over him. Yuki checks the guy's status and quickly realizes he's stronger than her. He is a fighter with a D-class punch, a C-class shield, a B-class strength, but he stumbles on E-class speed and charm. Yuki finally realizes the tough guy is way stronger than him, so the delinquent keeps hitting him until Yuki's status screen finally tells him how to unlock his special power. Yuki can only steal his opponent's talent if he touches them with his palm. The delinquent punched Yuki and then sat right on top of him, acting like he wasn't even there. He even goes so far as to show Yuki a video of his sister getting wasted. Yuki winces in pain as he tries to tell the bully that his sister has nothing to do with this. The villain sneers at Yuki, claiming the trouble he and his sister face is a family matter they must own together. He then tells Yuki to say sorry, and he promises to forgive him. The delinquent keeps insulting Yuki, goading him into calling himself scum. Yuki couldn't stop himself from wondering if his life has slipped away from him and become the society's instead. He won't believe what's happening, so he reaches out and touches the delinquent. With this, he triggers his special talent called theft. In a flash, Yuki punches the guy right in the face because he just swapped bodies with the delinquent. The villain is stunned to find that Yuki has suddenly found the courage to strike back at him. Yuki even pushes him to chase after her. He can't figure out what's going on. He gets hit with a series of punches. Yuki lands a flurry of blows on the guy before sealing it with a hard kick to his stomach. The delinquent can't believe what's happening to him as Yuki keeps pounding his face until he's ruined, knocks him out, and then shows a new quest on his status screen. Yuki feels lost because he doesn't know what kind of new adventure the fresh quest means for him. The system tells Yuki that if he finishes the quest, he'll get a new power called the Endless Fighting Spirit as a reward. And about the quest, the system hands Yuki a mission to reveal the truth about his father. Once Yuki finishes with the delinquent, he turns and walks the path back home. While walking home, he learns that everyone has a special status that Yuki can steal just by touching them with his hand. Plus, every time Yuki fulfills a special challenge, he gets a brand new ability. He gazes at the list of powers, realizing that with his newfound strength, he might finally break free from his nightmare. But Yuki worries about his next adventure because he still doesn't know what his father really did. Yuki realizes there's no other way but to go ask his father himself. He walks home to a house that is too quiet, only to see strong wine spilling out from his father's room. Yuki pushed the door open to find his father hanging from the wall in a terrifying sight. The man ended his own life after drinking, leaving Yuki screaming in terror and showing her how quickly a family can fall apart. Not long after, Yuki and Yui's dad was laid to rest. Yuki clung to his father's ring as the only thing he had left. The funeral home was nearly empty, with only a few mourners saying goodbye to the disgraced cop, leaving Yuki to wonder why his father had to die alone. The only friend Yuki has, Ginta, has come to offer his condolences. Ginta promises Yuki he'll be waiting for him at school. Ginta notices the ring with Yuki and asks about it. Yuki then shows that it's his father's wedding ring, and he clutches it tightly like a precious treasure. Still inside the funeral home, Yuki can hear people gossiping about his dad. They think Yuki's dad killed himself because they're sure he did something wrong. Ginta soothes Yuki, reassuring him that once someone passes, everyone is free to say whatever they want about them. Yuki remembers his mission to reveal his father's secrets, yet he's convinced there is nothing there to uncover. Just when things couldn't get worse, one of the troublemakers turns up at the funeral. Yuki can't believe he isn't even getting a single day off to say goodbye to his dad. He shouts at the man about why he's at the funeral, but the man just laughs and points him outside. A crowd of reporters waits outside, ready to pester Yuki just like they always do. Yuki realizes the delinquent tipped off the reporters about the funeral, then he stares at the guy and wonders how far he'll push him. The bad guy then points out to Yuki that his sister is being surrounded by reporters. The reporters shout at Yui, demanding to know if her father is guilty of the accusations that drove him to the afterlife. Yui struggles to speak, but her brother rushes forward to push the reporters back, while the hurting girl wonders what more they want from children like her, but the crowd just keeps pushing that idea, making sure everyone thinks the kid's dad was guilty. Yui finally snaps and tells her brother she just can't take it anymore. She steps back and heads inside the building. The crowd quickly uses this against Yui, screaming that her father was guilty, and that's why she's running away. Yuki slips away from the crowd and heads inside to talk to his sister. Yuki asks Yui if she's okay, and Yui admits that she isn't. And Yui is now absolutely sure that her dad is guilty of the bad things people say he did. Yuki is stunned by what he hears and scrambles to make sense of his sister's words. Filled with rage, Yui admits she's actually glad their father is gone. Yuki is upset to hear this, telling his sister that their dad always denied the accusations, but Yui refuses to believe he was innocent since he went to the afterlife on his own. Yui turns to Yuki and asks if he truly believes their father is innocent. Even with Yuki struggling to answer, the chance to reveal his father's truth keeps appearing, so he desperately wants to believe his dad is innocent. Yuki walks away from the funeral home, her mind racing through the scattered clues that might finally reveal the truth. As he strolls down the street, he catches the sound of delinquents chatting far away. They are laughing at him and at his dead dad. To catch what they are saying, he moves behind cover to listen. Just then, Yuki overheard the delinquents ganging up on her dad, claiming their boss Akira made up all those scandals about him. The scandal's impact on his family flashes through Yuki's mind, shocking him right to his bones. That moment instantly shows Yuki the plain truth: his father is innocent. Yuki steps out from his hiding spot and demands to know what Akira did to the delinquents. The delinquents were shocked to find that Yuki had been listening to their conversation. They pretend to be clueless about Yuki's words, but she jumps into a fighting stance while he worries about taking on two opponents. Yuki realizes that even if he steals the power from one of them, there's still the other guy left to deal with. To make matters even worse, he is forced to steal from just one of them. Even though he's on the losing side, Yuki decides to move forward anyway. He charges straight at the bad guys, and just as the first one swings a punch, he slips right underneath the blow to dodge it. As Yuki reaches out and touches him, she quietly takes his power away. He knocks out the first guy, but before he can catch his breath, another delinquent punches him in the back. The pain makes Yuki pull back. Just as he had hoped for, he quickly realizes that fighting two opponents at once is much harder than he thought. Just as he's wondering what to do, the first troublemaker smashes a brick right into Yuki's head. Yuki hits the ground hard, writhing in agony as blood spurts from his head. Then the delinquent stood over Yuki, mocking him and reminding him he'd always be just their toy to play with. Yuki is crushed by his defeat against the guys, and slowly, he fades away like a dying candle. But Yuki manages to keep her eyes open. He grabs the first delinquent and demands to know what they did to his father. With a sneer, the bad kid claims his dad was framed for grown-up crimes by Akira. This proves his father was innocent. Finally, he learned the truth about his father that he never knew before. Right before Yuki passes out, the system gives him a fighting spirit that never ends. Now that she has this new power, Yuki is finally determined to stay awake. He clutches his father's ring and rises again, startling the bullies who thought they had finally beaten Yuki. The system then tells Yuki that he can use his endless fighting spirit to steal people's status one after another. Yuki's eyes harden as he turns to his friends and vows that they're finally going to pay the price. Once, Yuki's father caught Akira and his friends selling dangerous drugs. Yuki's dad hunted down Akira and his gang for spreading drugs at school and didn't hold back once he found them. Akira rushes to attack, but he gets dodged and pinned down until he's taken away, and while locked up, he finally sees that Yuki's dad is a bad influence and he has to leave. In the underworld, Akira is a respected figure who always follows through when he decides to eliminate someone. Akira forced his gang to take the cop off the board, then they cornered a fellow student and scared her into doing exactly what they said. They hold her hostage with embarrassing videos, threatening to share them with the world unless she does exactly what they say. She has to do whatever those guys say. The girl, her uniform ripped, steps up to Yuki's dad. Because he's a cop, she grabs him and begs for his help. She says her boyfriend made her drink something strange, so Yuki's kind dad agrees to help her out. Hearing that the girl was using the very drugs he despises, he decided to trail her to find out the truth. She grabs his arm and leans in close. The detective doesn't realize he's being watched and filmed while hanging out with the schoolgirl. Once they got the video, they sent it straight to Akira, who rushed to post it online and destroy the detective's career. After Yuki finishes listening to the delinquents, he gets furious. He's absolutely furious that the troublemakers show no regret for what they did. Yuki glared at the two with such intense hate that they felt it, but he knew he had to stay on his guard because he was facing them alone. Yuki realizes that even if he steals the enemy's attack power, his own weak defense makes it useless against such tough foes. Yuki quickly checks off the next item on his stealing list. He realizes that instead of trying to make his attack stronger, he needs to find a way to break his opponent's defenses. He lunges and punches him, but he effortlessly blocks the blow and triggers his endless fighting spirit skill. In a flash, he drains the enemy's strength and knocks them flying, leaving Yuki victorious against one of the troublemakers. The other one is so terrified he stares at his partner lying knocked out on the ground. Yuki then turns his gaze to the last delinquent. Realizing just how messed up he has become, he drops to his knees and starts begging Yuki for forgiveness, but she can't believe he's even asking. Since his father isn't coming back no matter how much he begs, Yuki doesn't care and grabs the delinquent's head to make it clear that there's nothing he can ever do to fix his mistakes. The kid sees he's in trouble, screams for help, but finds no one around to save him. Yuki slams his head down onto the ground with a powerful blow. Just then, Yuki gets a new job to speak the truth in public, and as a reward, she learns how to borrow skills from others. The system tells Yuki that once he finishes the task requirements, he'll unlock the power to borrow a new skill. With this special power, he can briefly grab his opponent's skills, leaving the rival powerless while Yuki is also locked out of using her own abilities. Yuki suddenly realizes that Akira is the reason everything that has happened has happened. His father was innocent, yet Akira tricked him right to the ground. Yuki gets furious and vows to force Akira to shout out the truth in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Akira waits at school for his boys to come back, but he has no idea that they never will. Genta says Akira is in his seat, but Akira doesn't care. Genta instantly steps back and begs Akira to forgive him. Just as the commotion was at its peak, Yuki walked into the classroom. Yuki screams Akira's name, leaving him confused and wondering what's wrong with her. Yuki asks Akira about his father, but Akira can't resist teasing her by calling his dad a stupid detective. Yuki lifts his hand, ready to clash with Akira. Genta is stunned, and even Akira can't believe what he's seeing, so Genta steps in front of Yuki to stop him from doing something foolish. But Yuki insists he has to fight. And Akira laughs at the news, reminding Yuki he's not a fighter, while Genta tries to reason with Yuki, who insists he's fighting Akira to take his revenge. Genta stands stunned by what he just saw, but Akira already gets it. Yuki looks at Akira's stats and is stunned by what he finds. Akira hits like a tornado, stands strong as a fortress, moves with the speed of a storm, and though he isn't the sharpest or most charming, he still holds his own in every way. Akira mocks Yuki, insisting that Yuki's father alone chose to end it all and that Yuki had no part in it. This only makes Yuki matter even more, and Akira reveals that he is the reason Yuki's father is dead. Yuki promises Akira he'll force him to speak the truth no matter how tough he gets, so he rushes forward with all his strength to fight. As Yuki charged at Akira, he remembered how his life used to be full of happiness and peace. He usually snoozes until the sun is high, while his sister is already up in the kitchen cooking breakfast for them. Yuki and Yui were so close that the only time they shouted at each other was just to drive each other crazy. Even their dad, who always returns home in the morning, still finds time to eat breakfast with his kids. The family had a strict rule: they always ate breakfast together. Even when Yui's dad praised her cooking, Yuki would still make fun of her. Besides that, the three of them always stopped to honor their mom every single morning. As Yuki remembers it all, he finally sees that Akira took everything from him. He swings at Akira, but she slips past his. Yuki then quickly uses his skill to try and steal Akira's power. But Yuki is stunned to find that what he just did didn't work. Abel laughs at Yuki and tells him he needs more fun from him. This angers Yuki, sending him on another risky dash to grab Akira's power. He jumps forward and grabs him tightly, making Akira wonder why Yuki is clinging so hard. Even though Yuki tries to use his theft skill while holding on, the system rejects his request, leaving him stunned. This leaves him stunned as the system suddenly warns him that he can't use his talent theft or endless fighting spirit skills on other people. Even as Akira struggles to understand his own power, he lands a sudden punch that sends his opponent flying across the room, leaving Yuki staring in shock and asking why her special ability didn't work on him. Akira laughs at him because it looks like he finally figured out what's happening. But Yuki stays completely confused, still doubting what is real. Akira then laughs at Yuki and points out that they both have special powers. Akira can push his power past its limits and reach the very peak of his strength. Akira tells him that he can't just take his status, he'd have to steal the real power behind it first. Yuki freezes in shock when he realizes others have powers just like his. Akira doesn't hesitate, he leaps at Yuki right in the middle of all his doubt. Yuki screams in agony, confused and furious that no one ever told him other people had these special powers. Yuki drops to his knees and coughs blood. But Akira isn't finished with him yet. Akira laughs while grabbing Yuki and tossing him across the room, sending chairs and tables crashing to the floor. Yuki struggles to his feet, clutches his bleeding head, and panics as he desperately searches for a way out. He glances down at his hand, realizing how much blood is already pouring out. Akira tells Yuki that he's disappointed in the kind of power she has. Akira laughs because he isn't entertained enough, tells Yuki he will always be weak, and reminds her she's just a toy. Yuki groans in pain as his father's face flashes before him, knowing it was all Akira's fault, yet feeling powerless against the man who took his dad away. So Genta rushes over to comfort him while Yuki remains frustrated and desperate. He's willing to do anything to beat Akira. Yuki desperately wants another power, and as he thinks of this, he grabs the ring from his father that lies on the floor. Right then, Yuki spots a vision of the Tushin bandit warning her not to rush. He promises Yuki that the powers she needs to help him will be his soon. Yuki opens his eyes to find his sister standing right beside his bed. His sister tells him that Ginta is the one who brought him home. Yui already knows that Yuki got into a fight at school. Yui steps outside to grab a quick something, while Yuki stays behind, lost in thought about how he ended up losing to Akira. He realizes Akira is a power user just like him, which is why he can't beat him any better than his own minions. Yuki studies the ability chart and spots new powers, realizing that if he can use them, he might finally stand a chance to win. His eyes lock onto a special power called ability borrowing, and he thinks it might just be the key to victory. He might not be able to steal your reputation, but he can take your special powers right out from under you. He must speak the truth to everyone to unlock the ability he needs. With this skill, Yuki knows he can make it to Akira. But he is still stuck, not knowing exactly how to get the job done. Suddenly, he hears an annoying streamer bothering his sister. He presses the camera right up against Yui's face so his viewers can watch every single thing. People are flooding the chat with angry comments, calling out Yui and her family. He jumps in right then to pull his sister out of the streamer's reach. He grabs the streamer's hand and tells him to back off because their father is already gone. The streamer keeps talking without listening, just making Yuki more and more annoyed. When Kork killed him, he turns the camera to his face and demands an official apology from her. On the stream, viewers are pouring out nasty comments, blaming Yui and Yuki for their father's actions. Yui cries as she wonders if this is how they will have to keep living. In a fit of rage, Yuki snatches the streamer's phone to tell everyone his dad was never guilty of adult crimes. Yuki adds that his own family is the real victim. The streamer is shocked, and so is Yui. Yuki keeps talking, letting viewers know that his dad was wrongly accused and ended up dying. Just then, the system buzzed to say he had unlocked the new power called ability borrowing. Yuki was stunned at first, but he quickly remembered the rules, realizing that his own words had actually finished the quest. The streamer vows to punish Yuki, calling her a liar, just to keep his viewers happy. He waves a knife, leaving Yuki terrified. Yuki can't believe how brave the people who hurt her have become. The streamer waves a knife without fear of trouble, yet Yuki laughs at him, knowing the man's highest stat is just a weak E. This is why Yuki makes the choice to stop using his special powers. He stands his ground and strikes the man on the head to make him drop the knife so Yuki can grab her sister and rush them back home. Yuki keeps wondering how many more battles he has to fight. Suddenly, another troublemaker steps right in front of Yuki to check if it really is him, glowing with a purple aura that shows he's got special powers too. He flips a switch on his power called Panicking World, and in that same heartbeat, Yuki finds herself trapped by invisible chains that slam her right into place. The thug explains his power is unique because it makes everyone inside a certain distance feel scared and emotional. Because of this, the ones caught in it are frozen and can't move a muscle. Then the thug grabs Yui, making her his target. He drools like a crazy dog while holding Yui. Yuki screams for him to stop, but he cannot do anything about it. Right then, the thug swings hard and knocks Yui out cold by hitting her right in the back of the head. Just as Yui faded out, her final words were to tell her big brother to call. The thug hoists Yui onto his shoulder and warns Yuki that he'll get in trouble if he doesn't bring her back in perfect shape. Yuki shouts at the thug to explain why his sister is here, and the thug just says they have to stay in the game until they win the Olympus front. Yuki stands there confused, completely lost since he has never even heard of the Olympus front. Yuki pleads with the thug to pause, warning that he can't afford to lose any more of his beloved ones. Yuki realizes that if he lets Yui go, he'll be completely alone. Driven by desperation, he grabs the knife from the floor. Yuki will try anything for his sister. The bad guy grumbles that he can't even get a taste of Yui because he's gotta keep her safe for delivery. But he starts thinking it would be fun to play with Yui because she is so cute. All of a sudden, he hears Yuki right behind him. Yuki steps forward and tells him that he is the one they've been waiting for, not his sister. Before the bad guy even knows what's going on, a punch has already landed right on his face. Yuki snatches Yui away and then kicks him right in the face. The thug crashes to the ground, stunned to see Yuki's desperate act of cutting himself with the knife, a shocking move meant to break his fear. Yuki's hand is bleeding, yet he doesn't mind, because he knows he can't lose any more of the people he cares about. He then triggers his ability to steal skills from others. He knows that with this power, he can surely keep his family safe. The thug still can't believe Yuki drained his power with pain, leaving him helpless while Yuki saves his sister. Yuki strikes back with his own power, leaving the thug shocked and begging to know how he could do it. Yuki steps closer and says he'll never understand how things work. He tells him that the scary feeling from his power isn't even close to the terror of losing your family. Yuki then kicks him hard in the stomach and grabs his head. Yuki orders the bully to feel fear as he smashes his face into the dirt. Yuki's eyes burned with rage as he promised to guard his family, declaring that even alone he would fight for Yui. Once the thug was beaten, the screen showed that Yuki had just taken down an ability user. The system then tells Yuki that he can now unlock even stronger powers. Yuki is shocked, and then he sees the new powers he can unlock. Yuki must get hit by a blade attack to gain the mysterious Black Shadow power. There's also a sunglasses power that Yuki can only get by winning 5 fights in a row against strong foes, and then there's a fake document skill that requires him to take an attack from 12 gods. Yuki sits there, puzzled as 3 new powers suddenly show up for him. Yuki finally understands that he's being shown these things because he beat an ability user while the others are just normal guys, and he starts wondering if he'll get special powers every time he defeats someone with abilities. But he is still completely lost, wondering what the 12 gods really want, how to get stronger, and exactly how that blade attack works. He's forced to wonder if gods and powers are real or just stories. Suddenly, he realizes the thug he just beat was talking about the 12 gods and the front of Olympus. He walks over to the guy, shakes him awake, and asks what Olympus front means. Trembling with fear, the man says the 12 gods of Olympus are locked in a fierce battle on the Olympus front. He asks if he is one of the 12 gods, and he says no, but then reveals that Akira is one of them. Once Yuki heard what she needed to hear, she left the man on the street and picked up her sister to carry her away. As he walks away, he thinks about the special power that lets him borrow strength from others. He has only one person in mind as he thinks about this. He carries his sister home, gently lays her on the bed, and waits for her to wake up. Soon after, his sister woke up and spotted the ring resting around Yuki's neck. Yuki shows that the necklace holds her father's ring, a gift he turned into a piece of jewelry so she could keep it close. He did it because that item holds his father's most precious memory. Yuki recalls how his dad always seemed tough and mighty whenever they watched him. He never let the children see him break down, not even when his wife's death had shattered him completely. Yuki only remembers his father's constant smile that hides everything wrong. But Akira and his gang stole that smile away. Because Akira and his gang ruined everything, Yuki clings to the ring as a way to remember the past and keep what needs protecting safe. Yuki gazes at a photo of his dad and Yui, which sits on Yui's desk. He noted that their dad had always been their shield. Even Yui admits this is true. With his father gone, Yuki steps up to guard his family, honoring his dad's pride and keeping Yui safe. Soon after, Yuki quietly slips out of the room while his sister sleeps soundly. He vows to guard Yui and never lose, no matter how many ability users stand in his way. Akira is the first name on his list, and he's ready to get his revenge. He's ready to borrow some power to take down the big bad Akira. Meanwhile, Akira waits at school for his subordinate to bring Yui back. Genta yells at Akira for taking Yuki's spot, but Akira just shrugs and says he's doing it on purpose. He intends to kill Yuki and then take control of Olympus. While walking to class, Yuki thinks about Olympus but decides not to worry about it. His mind is completely consumed by a single burning desire to take revenge and defend his father's honor. Yuki rushes into the classroom and finds Akira in the middle of beating up Genta. Yuki shouts his friend's name in panic after seeing Akira beat him up. Akira tightens his fist in rage, only to have Akira laugh right back at him. Yuki tells Akira she knows he lied, but at first he just acts like he doesn't get it. Yuki then tells Akira that he himself put an end to his father's life. Then Akira bursts into laughter, mocking Yuki and blaming his father for everything that went wrong. Akira then points out that even if Yuki is right, he can't change anything about it. Yuki takes Akira's hand and tells him she will make him bow down and apologize for everything he's done. Then turns on the power to borrow skills. Yuki intended to strike Akira with his special power, but in a shocking twist, the blow landed right on Yuki's own face. Yuki can't believe he failed to beat Akira even after using his power to borrow strength. Then the system tells Yuki that he can't hunt down the skills of the 12 gods. All of this only adds to Yuki's stress, and Akira isn't about to let him get a moment of peace. So, Akira throws a wild flurry of punches at Yuki, shouting that fighting him by himself won't work. Akira seizes Yuki by the head and declares that no matter how hard he tries, he will never be able to beat him. He drives Akira's head down onto the floor, but he isn't finished with him yet. He grabs him, drags him across the floor, and then hurls him into the wall, declaring that he will be nothing but a toy for him and his crew forever. As Yuki hits the floor, his father's ring tumbles out. Akira sees this and readies himself to smash it. But Yuki won't let Akira ruin the only thing left from his dad. He swiftly covers the ring, letting Akira strike his hand instead. Yuki is ready to give up his own life just to stop Akira from ever touching the ring. As he stands up, he reminds Akira that his father always stood tall to protect his family and the whole town. Yuki recalls the power to forge fake papers and realizes that stealing this ability might just give him a fighting chance. Yuki slips the ring back on his finger, steps up to face Akira, and accepts whatever comes his way just to stand as the shield for his father's honor. Seeing that Yuki won't quit, Akira swings hard with a mighty punch to end the fight. By gripping his powerful, relentless arms, Akira slashes the opponent, boosting his damage by 20%. Yuki sees the danger heading his way, but he stands firm without a second thought. He stands right there and lets Akira's punch hit his chest. As the punch connects, he screams in pain while Akira laughs at him. Just then, the system chimes in to tell Yuki that he's finally free to use fake papers. With this skill, Yuki can briefly trick the enemy into thinking their powers have changed. Yuki is thrilled to finally get the power he has always wanted. But to truly master this new power, Yuki has to touch his enemy and give up a piece of himself. Yuki doesn't mind the price because all he wants is the power to bring Akira down. While all this is happening, other students start to hear about the fight. Everyone rushes into the classroom to watch Akira and Yuki face off. And Yuki knows deep down that the fight he's about to face is the real deal. Akira feels no fear at all and just laughs at Yuki for hanging on so tight. While Yuki searches for a way to use his new skill, he realizes he must touch Akira to make it work. However, he feels completely stuck when he realizes he might have to give up a piece of himself, and Yuki is the only one who can tell if that's really what's happening. As Akira waits for the perfect moment to end Yuki, he's quietly planning his escape. Knowing he couldn't win, Yuki decides to try something completely crazy to turn the table. He bolts away from Akira, desperate to be the one who breaks free first. Once he's put a bit of space between himself and Akira, Yuki checks his stats and finds his agility has jumped all the way to S rank. There builds a surge of joy now that he has finally managed to steal Akira's power. Akira storms over to Yuki, furious that she's been running around and causing him trouble. Just as Yuki snatches the agility skill, it saves him from Akira's deadly blow. And Akira throws more attacks at him, but Yuki zips around the room like Spider-Man to dodge them easily. He even leaps into the air to fly right over Akira. Akira is left wondering what's going on. Yuki finally chooses to use his falsified document skill, but the system warns him that he must give up his right eye to do it. Yuki doesn't care what he has to sacrifice because he'd give up his own body if it meant beating Akira. Yuki opens himself up to Akira's perfect strike right to the eye. Just then, Yuki's right eye glows red, leaving Akira terrified as he realizes his attacks can no longer hurt him. Akira checks his stats and finds that every single one of them is ranked in F. Confused about what's going on, Yuki tells Akira that he's been lying about his stats. Yuki says he's doing to him the very same thing his dad once did to him. With a single punch, Yuki blasts Akira so hard she flies across the room. Akira couldn't believe Yuki had actually given up his right eye just so he could fake his stats. Still, suddenly Yuki strikes him again before he can even blink. He strikes him with such force that the other man can hardly move. Yuki seizes Akira by the collar, proving he is the one responsible for all the trouble. Yuki pounces on him without mercy, slamming him flat to the ground. Akira begins to bleed and realizes he's done for, so he starts apologizing to Yuki and admitting he was wrong. Yuki doesn't care about Akira's apology and tells him there is no way she can ever forgive him. He keeps slamming his head into the ground just to prove he's serious. Yuki knows his dad can't come back no matter how much Akira apologizes, but he still wants Akira to admit he was wrong for accusing him. Yuki grabs Akira and crashes his head down into the ground once more. Akira understood that the pain would never stop unless he did what Yuki asked. He admits it right away, saying he made up all the bad things about Yuki's dad. Yuki felt the weight lift off his shoulders, finally knowing his father's name was cleared. He knew it might be too late, but in the end it worked. Akira can only cry as he realizes his search for the truth is finally over. At the same time, the trick with the fake papers ends. The system tells Yuki that the 12th god, the host Ares, has been knocked out. Akira stands frozen in shock, still completely baffled by what the 12th god truly means. The Yib system then reveals that he has unlocked the legendary secret ninja bag, a powerful new skill earned by defeating one of the 12 gods and securing his first real victory in the Olympus front. Yuki looks at the Olympus front once more, but it only makes him more puzzled. Just as he ponders the mystery, Bandit steps in to reveal that the Olympus front is a clash of gods fighting to decide who will become the new creator. Bandit grabs Yuki's arm and begs her to team up with him, promising they can get everything they want together. He shouts that Yuki is his chosen one, and Yuki stands frozen in shock. Bandit is a demigod, born to a human mother and a god father. He lives in a holy place where only gods are allowed to roam. In this world, only his mother is human, and together they live a life full of joy. Bandit and his mother are like two peas in a pod. Even when Bandit insists his mom call him God, she just laughs and tells him to earn that title before she'll ever say it. One day, Bandit left his home and stumbled upon a god named Ares treating an angel badly, so Bandit stepped in to stop it, but the god was shocked and demanded to know who Bandit thought he was to order him around, only for Ares to call him a human out of place, yet Bandit refused to back down. Ares asks Bandit if it's okay to challenge a god, but Bandit just smiles and says, "I'm one now." Ares then reveals that he cannot be a true god because he is a mix of two different kinds. Bandit keeps arguing with Ares, but soon Ares just walks away, saying he's bored fighting a lesser god and that something much more interesting is waiting for them. Days later, Bandit comes back home and finds his mom's body on the floor. Bandit rushes to his barely alive mother, who apologizes for being human. His mother tells him that people will laugh at him for having human blood, but she begs him to be a kind god, and with that final wish for Bandit to do good, she dies right in his arms. The Bandit screams in tears as he watches his mother die, helpless to stop it. Later, the 12 gods hold a meeting where Ares drags Bandit to the center, claiming he was spying on them. The other gods turn against Bandit and tell him that mortals don't belong here. Bandit then argues his point, shouting that he is just like them, claiming he is also a child of a god. But Ares didn't care at all, because in his eyes, Bandit was just a mix of a regular person and a weak god. Ares rips Bandit off his feet and slams him hard into the ground, shouting that he isn't a god. This makes Ares laugh because he sees the human body as something fun to play with. He treats Bandit like a toy he can mess with, but this just makes Bandit furious. He screams at Ares, accusing him of being the one who took his mother's life. Ares doesn't care a bit and insists that humans are just toys for the gods to play with. Rage surges through Bandit, driving him to charge at Ares with fury. But Ares is way out of his league, so he easily dodges the attack. Ares springs up behind Bandit and slams his head down. Ares hisses at Bandit to keep quiet, reminding him he's just a toy. Seeing that Ares is pushing too hard, the other gods urge him to halt and warn him that a holy battle is coming, while Ares explains that Bandit is pretending to be a god and must be stopped. One of the gods tells Ares to step back and let Bandit fight with everything he has while the Olympus forces are right there. Ares chuckles at the news and nods, saying the plan sounds just right. Ares decides to use one human as a host, challenges the other gods to a deadly fight to pick a new creator, and promises Bandit he will kill him right before all of Olympus. Now the holy yet bloody fight to find the creator has begun. Bandit listens to the words and says he is in. Bandit promises to avenge his mother, no matter how much pain or cruelty the fight brings. Bandit vows to build a world without a god like Ares, who demands impossible things. The other gods burst into laughter at Bandit's boldness, making fun of him for getting way ahead of himself. Once the fight began, Bandit picked Yuki to be his partner for the battle against the other gods. Bandit grinned, having just shared everything Yuki needed to know. But Yuki can only scream because he knows the terrible things waiting for him. After Bandit explained why he chose him, the host asked if he had changed his look, and Bandit revealed he was keeping his form as simple as possible to stay hidden in the mortal world. Yui walks into the room to tell her brother that dinner is ready, and he shouldn't push himself to school since he just defeated Akira. Yuki tells Yui that he is finally okay because he got the revenge he always wanted. But now Yuki wears an eye patch because he traded his eye to win the fight. After knocking Akira out, he made him admit to everything while the camera rolled. The court then accused Akira of lying to hurt someone's reputation. His father's name was fully cleared, and Yuki restored his father's honor by bringing him back to his rightful dignity. Yuki isn't bothered by losing an eye, but Bandit thinks that makes him a troublemaker. But Yuki doesn't mind paying any price, because he just wants to avenge his father. Ginta even asks if he's okay, and he replies that he's good. Ginta is panicking over his friend, while Yuki just grins like everything is fine. Bandit says it's nice to see him having fun, but warns that the fight at Olympus is far from over, though he doesn't care about the battle between the 12 gods. This makes Ginta curious, since Ginta knows about the 12 gods. Yuki asks him if he likes the 12 gods, and Ginta nods and says yes. Ginta knows that the 12 gods are different rulers, each in charge of their own special place in the world. Poseidon rules the waves. There is a god named Hephaestus who rules over fire and the craft of forging metal. There is a deer who guards the gift of fertility. Ginta tells Yuki that other lords exist and offers to share a book with her so she can learn about them. Ginta bolts out of the room to grab the book, while Bandit whispers to Yuki that their enemies could strike at any moment. On top of all that, it's a fight to the very end. Every lord brings unique powers to the fight, risking their host's life, and Bandit warns Yuki that his enemies will stop at nothing to defeat him. Yuki feels a chill run down his spine, terrified that by the time it's all over, he'll have sacrificed his entire body. Bandit admits the power is huge but begs Yuki to stop using it. Yuki questions him, and Bandit warns that losing an eye in a fight can kill you. Bandit punches Yuki right when she can't see him coming, proving he was telling the truth. Yuki agrees with Bandit, asks what he should do, and then explains the secret ninja bag he earned by beating Akira. That bag is magic. It never runs out of space and can hold just about anything you throw inside. Yuki slipped weapons into the bag, but he knows they won't save him from a fight he can't win. Bandit agrees to Yuki's plan, but now Yuki must dive into her ability list to find something that could actually help them. He then unlocks the skill of sunglasses, a power that lets him peek into an opponent's mind, but he has to beat 5 rivals in a row to earn it. Yuki sat down to think about everything that had happened, and decided that the battle was no longer his problem. Yuki finally gets the revenge he's been dying for. Yuki rushes home to see his sister carefully scrubbing away the nasty drawings that bullies had painted on the house wall. Yui feels a deep sense of relief knowing the bad things said about her dad were all just lies. Yuki steps in to help her wipe away the writings so they can clean it together. Once the detergent runs out, Yui steps outside to get more, and Yuki warns her to be careful, which she promises to do. Yuki smiles, knowing for sure that he has cleared his father's false accusation. Yuki is certain that his family's life is finally returning to normal. Yuki holds on to that hope until someone drags him away to stare at his sister's empty, still form in the morgue. Yuki dropped to his knees beside his sister, weeping, and shouted that his fight was just beginning. Yuki sinks into depression, but while he sleeps, Yui suddenly appears in his dream. Yui is trapped in the flames, pleading with Yuki for rescue. Yuki wakes up screaming, finally accepting the terrible truth that his sister is gone forever. His worst nightmare is finally real, and now he's alone with no family left. 10 days later, Yuki pulls the hood over his head and sets out to find answers about his sister's death. He walked to the police station every single day. Detective Hagawa shakes his head and tells Yuki that he hasn't found a single clue. The detective also warns him that they can't share any secrets with regular folks. Yuki tried again and again, but every time, nothing useful came back to her. Even with his nose pressed against the wall, Yuki refuses to quit. Yuki's drive to find the culprit burns hotter than ever before. Yuki then turns to Bandit and asks if the culprit is one of the 12 gods. Bandit admits he isn't sure, but thinks there's a pretty good chance he's actually one of them. Bandit asks Yuki if he'll fight whoever stands in his way, and Yuki says yes without a second. Yuki is ready to hunt down whoever snatched his sister away from him. But first, he needs to gather some info and quickly spots 5 tough guys hiding in a dark alleyway. He walks up to the thugs but quickly sees that they are only level D fighters. Plus, there are 5 of them, which means he can unlock his sunglasses power just by taking them off. The thugs glare at Yuki ready to punch him, but they don't know that this is actually Yuki's plan for them. Yuki is finally thrilled to be in a place where he can meet all the requirements to unlock his special power. When Yuki touched the detective, he stole his top-tier fighting skill and now plans to use it to beat up the thugs. Yuki sidesteps the thug's wild punch, knocks his foot out from under him, and sends him tumbling backward. This angers the rest of the gang, who vow not to hold back against Yuki. Yuki admits that fighting many enemies at once is a tough task, so he relies on his quick dodging to get through it. Even the second thug is getting so fed up that he yells at Yuki to stop running everywhere. But Yuki quickly answers his wish by landing a mighty punch right to his face. With this, the thug falls and the system buzzes him to say one of his 5 rivals is down. Before Yuki can even blink, another thug charges at her, only to meet the exact same end. The goons grabs a box and hurls it at Yuki, but Yuki ducks out of the way without a sweat. Yuki steps up and knocks out the next guy, making him the 3rd one down. The bad guys still haven't learned their lesson, and another rushes in, only for Yuki to strike his neck and end him, leaving just one final opponent for Yuki to defeat to clear the challenge. The toughest guy, standing right behind Yuki, is the last one left. He charges right at Yuki, but she's simply too powerful for him to handle. Yuki sidesteps the hit, grabs the attacker by the jaw, slams his head into the ground, and takes down all 5 thugs. The system flashes a message telling him he's finally cleared the hurdle and now has the power he was waiting for. After beating up the bad guys, Bandit tells Yuki he gets where he's coming from, but he's scared that Yuki is pushing things too far. Yuki then tells Bandit that he'll do anything to get closer to finding out who killed his sister. Yuki stood over the beaten thugs as his new power, malicious voyeurism, joined his skills, giving him the easy way to gather secrets and catch the culprit. Yuki starts by gathering information from the first item on his table. He walks back to the police station to speak with the detective in charge. As the detective struggles with the tough case, he suddenly spots Yuki far away. Agua tells Yuki he gets it, but warns him that no matter how many times he shows up at the station asking about the case, he won't be able to say anything. Yuki doesn't argue with the detective, he just steps forward to use his mind-reading power, but he has to ask the target a question first to get a chance to read their mind. Yuki presses the detective for the truth about his sister's death, but the detective just shakes his head and says that's the rule he has to follow. But Yuki's question to the detective just turned on her special power. He sees what the detective knows. Yui was stabbed in the belly with a sharp knife. After asking another question, Yuki wants to know where his sister was killed. The detective apologizes but can't say more, yet he's already told Yuki that Yui was found in the vacant lot on 3rd Street. Hearing this, Yuki realizes that the answers she's looking for are hiding out on the streets. Yuki rushes straight to the crime scene to find a police officer waiting there, asks if anything happened in the area, and wants to know exactly what kind of incident it was. The officer refused to share the case details, but Yuki used her mind-reading power to discover that the detectives had found no clues at the crime scene, which was really strange. Yuki finally finds himself in the right spot, yet the scene remains baffling since such a brutal attack left no clues behind at all. When the detective couldn't find a single clue, Yuki realized the culprit wasn't human. Just as he lost himself in thought, a man named Tetsuya suddenly jumped out and attacked him. Yuki barely dodges the spear flying at her from Tetsuya. Tetsuya praises Yuki for slipping out of the strike, knowing he can't fight back hard himself. Meanwhile, Yuki is left wondering why this guy is chasing him. Suddenly, he spots the man gripping a spear, and with a chill remembering what the detective had told him, that his sister was killed by a sharp blade, he realizes the danger is real. Yuki's anger boils over the moment he sees the person who killed his sister standing right in front of him. Tetsuya just gives a quiet smile without answering the question directly. He challenges Yuki to beat him if she really wants to learn the truth. Yuki knows that taking down a spear user will be a tough fight. Yuki realizes he must sidestep the spear just to get a chance to beat Tetsuya. Yuki slips past the first strike and lunges at Tetsuya to steal his power, but the guy sees it coming and blocks the move instantly, telling Yuki he has no chance until he can actually reach him. Tetsuya spins around and thrusts his spear into Yuki's back to counter her move. Yuki hits the ground, but Tetsuya keeps chasing him without stopping. The attacks are so cruel that Yuki coughs up blood. Tetsuya steps back, disappointed that Yuki is on Bandit's side, and feels foolish since Yuki isn't even putting up a fight. Even the god who watches over Tetsuya as his guardian laughs at how weak Bandit is. While lying on the ground, Bandit worries about Yuki, but Yuki says he's okay, surprising everyone since he secretly gained a new power while Tetsuya was beating him up. Yuki learned to perform the shadow dance by letting a blade strike him while he used his special powers. Now Yuki can bend the shadows to his will, but the real challenge is figuring out how to use this power right here. While Yuki is scrambling for a solution, Tatsuya is already rushing straight at him. Knowing there is no other way, Yuki instantly starts the shadow dance. Tatsuya is stunned to see that Yuki has suddenly gained a new power, and even his host god admits that things have gone completely wrong. Yuki summons a shadow that drifts right up to Tetsuya. Tetsuya stays worried until the shadow slips through him without hurting him at all. Tetsuya chuckles, pointing out that the shadow can't really hurt anyone. Even Yuki is stressed because he has no clue on how to make his shadow skill work for him. Tetsuya's god host laughs at Bandit and Yuki for having such a weak ability. Yuki questions Bandit about the god they face, and he admits his true name is Alec Tyron, explaining that his weak mind and half-hearted spirit keep him from ever becoming a true god. It seems lords pick guardians who act just like them, but in return those guardians also take on the god's flaws. When Yuki heard this, he finally saw a way out. He intends to use Alec Tyron's weaknesses as a weapon against Tetsuya. With this new twist, Yuki now thinks there's a slim chance he might finally win. Yuki asks Bandit how much control he has over the shadows, and he replies that their size and movement are entirely up to the person casting them. Even how strong their magic and how far it reaches depend on how tough their mind is. With just a bit of focus, Yuki can use the shadows to swallow an entire building whole. Suddenly, Tatsuya sees a shadow wall behind him and starts guessing what Yuki's next move will be. Tatsuya wants to stop Yuki before his dangerous plan comes to life. Without Tatsuya knowing, Yuki is stepping up to take the hit just so he can finally use the move he's been waiting for. Tatsuya lunges at Yuki with his spear, but Yuki stands firm and takes the blow. Tatsuya freezes in shock as he sees this. He realizes Yuki purposely stayed still, and when she smiles at Tetsuya, she tells him he's finally walked right into her trap. Yuki lunges at Tetsuya and switches on the power of the dark world. Yuki then seals the space, trapping them inside a wall of shadows. Tetsuya freezes in sheer terror, staring straight into the endless dark void. He also notices that Yuki has grabbed the spear and vanished. Since eyes give us most of our info, Yuki has left Tetsuya with only the small scraps that our ears can catch. Tetsuya has no choice but to fight him while at a disadvantage, but he refuses to be underestimated. He ignites his radiant spear flash, swirling his spear around to show Yuki that the move leaves no blind spots at all. Yuki just smiles and tells Tatsuya he means no harm, only to avenge his dead sister. Since Tetsuya is the one who did it, Yuki is ready to lock him away in an endless dark hell forever. Tetsuya is stunned when Yuki says she'll lock him up forever, so he decides to run away right now. Tatsuya realizes the power was triggered in an open area, and judging by the wall distances he saw earlier, he knows it's a circle just 5 meters wide. With everything in place, Tatsuya gets ready to dash out of there in a heartbeat. After a few minutes, Tatsuya is still running, but his legs feel heavy now. He finally notices he's been running for a long time, but he still hasn't made it out of the cage. Alec Tyron yells at Tetsuya to find a way out fast, but Tetsuya shouts back, asking if he has any power left to help them escape. The darkness is already driving both of them crazy. Tetsuya is even more worried because he can't see Yuki. Suddenly, Yuki pops up behind him and uses his special trick to steal and return Tetsuya's glowing spear flash. He didn't even move. He got hit by a heavy stream of punches. Tetsuya wonders how Yuki could possibly spot him there. It wasn't over yet, because he had also lost his spear. In a flash, the spear's sharp blade slices through Tetsuya's hand. Yuki shows that by twisting his shadow, he can see Tetsuya's exact spot and every move he makes. Yuki asks Tetsuya what it feels like to be about to die by his own spear. At this moment, Alec, Tyron and Tetsuya are losing their minds, unable to believe that a bandit acting like a demigod is actually this strong. While Tyron orders Tetsuya to act, his mind is already racing with plans to escape. As he crawls away, Yuki steps right in front of him and tells him there's no way out. Yuki tells Tetsuya that the pain he gave his sister is a drop in the bucket compared to the agony he is feeling right now. Yuki then thrusts her spear into Tetsuya, sending him screaming until he can't breathe. But Yuki is also hurt from the deadly hit he took on purpose back then. Yuki turns to Tatsuya and questions him about killing Yui. Tetsuya claims he is the one, but Yuki uses her mind-reading power to see the truth. He's actually shielding a god named Hephaestus from suspicion. Hephaestus has told Tetsuya to take the fall for Yui's death. Tetsuya keeps telling Yuki that he took out Yui all by himself just to hide the secret role of Hephaestus. Suddenly the system flashes a message to Yuki. His mind-reading skill has leveled up, and now touching someone lets him see the pictures in their head. Yuki is shocked by her sudden level up, but it arrived right when she needed it most. When he touches Tetsuya's body, he finally gets a clear view of Hephaestus' true form. Hephaestus, a large man with a mustache, is spotted by Yuki as the real bad guy. Yuki knows the next move in his plan is to track down Hephaestus. He then turns off the shadow wall, leaving Tetsuya's bloodied body lying on the street. Shortly after, Yuki opens her eyes to find herself in a hospital. He jolts awake from a dream in which he saw his sister. The terrible grief of his sister's death is drowned out by the sharp pain of the knife wound in his stomach. He presses a hand to his gut, remembering the pain Tetsuya left there. But he is still lost, having no clue where he actually is. Suddenly, Detective Hagawa bursts in, stunned to see that Yuki has finally woken up. The detective tells us that Yuki was rushed to the hospital right after someone made an anonymous call. Yuki is surprised and asks the detective if anyone else was brought to the hospital, but the detective shakes his head and says no. Yuki can't stop thinking about what happened to Tetsuya, and he really doesn't want to believe that the guy just made it out alive. Yuki then asks the detective how things are going with his sister's case. True to form, the detective refuses to share any case details with civilians, but Yuki reads his mind, learns the cops have new leads, and then tricks him by claiming there's something on his shoulder, then reaches out to tap Hagawa's shoulder, eager to hear the fresh details that have just come to light. Yuki watches the cops talking about Yui's case and the murder weapon. Even though the weapon itself was never found, the doctors figured out what it was by looking at the wound on the body. And the factory on 4th Street, Omore Metal Factory, is the one that just bought up huge amounts of that iron. Knowing that the Omore Metal Factory is involved, Yuki picks his next target. The detective spots something strange about Yuki and decides she probably needs some rest. He then chooses to go away so Yuki can finally rest. But Yuki won't stop moving, not even to let his wounds get better. He steps out of the hospital and walks toward the Omore Metal Factory. Bandit grabs Yuki and begs her not to do something foolish because his own wounds still haven't healed. Plus, they have no idea just how strong their enemy really is. Yuki refuses to believe that the pain tearing through him from his injury could ever match the agony Yui endured. The scarred face flashes in Yuki's mind, making him furious, until a strange noise from inside the factory makes him and Bandit stop. Bandit warns Yuki to stay on her toes because they have no clue what powers their opponent might have. Soon they find themselves facing a blacksmith who has been waiting right there for them. The blacksmith is the huge man Yuki saw inside Tatsuya's mind. To Yuki's shock, a statue standing behind the blacksmith turns out to have Yui's own face. The blacksmith beams with pride the moment Yuki recognizes one of his creations. Yuki's anger boils over as he lunges at the blacksmith, ignoring Bandit's warning, only to be blasted with a fiery attack that leaves him stunned to find he's up against a flame user. Yuki has no choice but to take the hit, and the wound kills her instantly. To make matters even worse, the blacksmith swung his hammer right at the side of the man's injured belly. The blacksmith mocks Yuki for showing up to fight while he's still hurt. It turns out the blacksmith's host is Histus, the fire god. Histus shakes his head at the wounded beast, spares Yuki, and sends him away with an order to return only when fully healed. The blacksmith strikes Yuki again with fire, leaving him badly burned, yet he somehow crawls out of the building with his body charred. Given how he is right now, he won't make it. But as he fades away, a girl steps in beside him and whispers words that bring him back to life. Later, Yuki wakes up in a girl's room, shocked to find his wounds gone as he tries to figure out where he is. Suddenly, a schoolgirl named Ra walks into the room and smiles at Yuki. She feels so happy to see Yuki finally awake and rushes over to say hello. Yuki stands frozen in shock when she sees this. Just then, Ra's host god screams at her, telling her to properly heal Yuki. She warns that Yuki isn't fully healed yet, so she has to give her very best. Yuki is still puzzled by everything, but Bandit knows who she is and calls her Deer. Deer is one of the 12 gods, and she holds the power of fertility. Right away, Yuki gets on the defensive, convinced that Deer is trying to hurt him just like everyone else. Suddenly Ra casts the healing spell on him once more, and the wounds that weren't fully mended start to heal much faster. Yuki stays on his guard against Ra, but Bandit urges him to relax, insisting that Deer is the only one of the 12 gods who truly cares about people and that they can trust her. Deer tells Yuki she'll explain everything to him later. But she wants Yuki to trust Ra and let her fix his wounds. Once Ra finishes, Yuki is left speechless by how incredible his healing powers are. While Deer yells at Ra for failing to fully heal Yuki's wounds after 2 tries, Ra insists she is doing her best and reminds her she isn't a god like her. The two of them keep screaming at each other, while Yuki just sits there, totally confused. When Yuki finally steps in, he asks the two of them why they helped him. Ray says helping others comes naturally to her, and Deer agrees that they never leave anyone who needs aid. But Bandit isn't a fool, and he knows that Deer helping them isn't the only reason why. He points out that this battle can only end with one winner standing. Deer finally accepts that they are hopelessly outmatched in the fight. Ra grabs Yuki's hand and pleads with him to fight with them. Yuki is left with just one burning question, and that is why. Ra leads Yuki outside to answer his question. Ra proves her strength to Yuki by making the nearby plants burst into massive growth. Yuki is blown away, and data shows her that the power she wields can pump extra life force into anyone. Basically, their power has no offensive side, which means there is no way for them to strike back at anyone who tries to harm them. That's why Ra needs Yuki fighting alongside them, so she bows her head while Bandit pushes Yuki to say yes. Yuki pauses and Bandit urges him to use his mind-reading power to check if Ra is truly telling the truth. Yuki dives into Ra's thoughts and discovers he feels no anger toward her. All Ra and Deer just need a way to bring down the blacksmith. Yuki finally realizes he has been walking alone ever since his sister passed away. He's been fighting alone this whole time. Because Yuki won't let anyone else die, he vows to protect Ra. He finally agrees to the deal and stretches out his hands to Ra, asking her to look after him. Ra beams with joy and tells Yuki to take care of everyone while she smiles. Now that they've made their deal, Yuki knows she must find a way to defeat the blacksmith and gain a new power to do it. He remembers the blacksmith cooking over a wall fire, and getting close to it is going to be a huge problem. He is beyond this. Hestus feels stronger than every god he has faced, leaving him to wonder if Hestus even has a weak spot he can exploit. Right then, Yuki spots the hidden ninja bag trick. With this new skill, Yuki feels ready to take on the blacksmith and win the fight. Later, the blacksmith visits a customer in the factory to talk about the weapon he built for them. The blacksmith grumbles because the client won't even say thanks for his hard work. Right in the middle of crashing out, Yuki and Ra show up. The blacksmith is stunned to find Yuki still alive and calls him spirited, though Yuki insists he's just lucky. Deer then whispers to Ra that the blazing god they are staring at is Hystasis, the ruler of fire. To everyone's shock, the entire room is packed with the blacksmith's treasures, but then fire swallows them all, and the crowd screams in terror. Ra, Yuki, and their host stand frozen in horror at what they are seeing. They can't tell if the screams coming from the paintings are real people or just the evil blacksmith's terrible art. The blacksmith shows that his sword saves the souls it has already claimed. The blacksmith knows Deer fears fighting and mocks her for walking into a war zone. Even though Deer isn't a cruel person, the blacksmith refuses to show her any mercy, comparing the situation to a match loaded with sacrifices. But Yuki isn't convinced and tells the blacksmith that the victims are just caught in the god's fight. The blacksmith gets angry because Yuki isn't taking the fight for Olympus seriously, then warns her that the winner will get something truly amazing. Yuki is totally shocked because he has no clue what the blacksmith is talking about. Hyeoltus laughs at Yuki because he realizes that Bandit hasn't told him what he'll get if he wins the fight. Bandit warns Yuki not to worry about what he just heard, saying he can't tell her everything just yet. Yuki agrees with Bandit, who is here to learn the truth about her death. The blacksmith sneered at Yuki, boasting that he couldn't possibly remember any of the many people he's hurt. Yuki reminds Ra to stick to their original plan because he can't steal the powers of the 12 gods. Beating the blacksmith in that fight might be a tall order. Yuki then makes a bold move by touching the blacksmith to read his mind and find the secrets he needs. The blacksmith is sure Yuki can't reach him, let alone touch him. The blacksmith throws the floor into flames, but Yuki jumps over the fire to rush him down. Yuki knew the blacksmith could play with fire, so he was already ready for it. But the blacksmith surprises Yuki with a fiery hammer that knocks him to the ground. Lying on the floor, Yuki reaches for the blacksmith, but he leaps away in a flash. Yuki already knew the blacksmith was a battle-tested master. The blacksmith's confident talk and flashy moves prove he knows his craft very well. Ra dashes over to the injured Yuki, who decides to turn the blacksmith's own trust against him. Yuki pleads with Ra to stay by his side because he is ready to touch the blacksmith no matter what it takes. Yuki knows the chances are terrible, but with Ra's power, he's sure he can make it through. Yuki then mocks the blacksmith, daring him to test just how much firepower he really has. He asks the blacksmith to show him just how powerful his blows are compared to how long he can keep taking them. Yuki challenges them to see who is the strongest. Ra thinks Yuki is being too reckless, but Yuki knows exactly what he's doing. Even though the plan is risky, he knows the blacksmith will step up to fight, so he needs Ra to keep using her power. The blacksmith stands ready to show Yuki just how powerful fire can be. As Yuki walks closer, the guy unleashes a burst of fire at him. The fire burns so hot that the blacksmith fears Yuki will turn to ash. Luckily, Ra is healing Yuki right now. Ra keeps Yuki safe so she can reach the blacksmith. As the fire grows hotter and hotter, Ra worries that her healing powers might not be strong enough to keep up. Even with the odds stacked against him, Yuki keeps moving forward. He refuses to die until he finally learns the truth. Yuki keeps fighting to find the truth, but right as he gets close, the blacksmith strikes him hard with his hammer. But Yuki gets close enough and he yells at Ra to finally do what they planned. Just as the blacksmith swings his hammer, he freezes and can't move a single muscle. Yuki gives the blacksmith a wicked grin, letting him know his revenge is coming. Near him, suddenly the blacksmith gasps as he finds himself trapped, his whole body tangled in a thick mess of branches that won't let him move. Ra's power doesn't just heal, it can bring all life to start again. As long as Ra's strength holds, she can keep using her power. With her power, she can even bring a whole rainforest to life. With the blacksmith now stuck, Yuki tells him it's time to turn into a piece of art. Blacksmith isn't worried about it at all. He warns Ra and Yuki that branches alone won't seal him away, for as long as his hammer strikes the earth, he can summon fire. The fire roars back to life, and the blacksmith tells them to just burn away the branches blocking their path. It turns out Ra and Yuki were already planning for this exact moment. They've set a trap for the blacksmith using his one weakness, water. To match the blacksmith's incredible strength, Yuki pulls out his best move. He shouts for Ra to move back and then pulls out his secret ninja bag. Inside the bag, Yuki had packed enough water to fill a whole pool. He lets go of the water, and it splashes right onto the blacksmith. The water pushes so hard that it sweeps the blacksmith away. He drops his hammer and can no longer start a fire. Ra uses her magic to yank Yuki back just before the water sweeps him away. Yuki looks back and grins, marveling at just how awesome Ra looks. Yuki is ready to take this fight to the finish no matter which trick he pulls out of his sleeve. Once the water settles, the blacksmith is seen lying down, weak and spent. He stands before the blacksmith and tells him he will never forgive the ones who took Yui away. Yuki reaches out and touches the blacksmith to learn what he knows. He dives into the stranger's memories and sees that he built a weapon for someone. The weapon looks incredibly powerful, forged for no one else but Poseidon. Suddenly, Poseidon has seized control of his host's body and now moves it completely on his own. As Yuki looks back over the past, he sees that Histus and the blacksmith both know Poseidon is a terrifying god and don't want to fight him. Poseidon vows to keep the blacksmith alive as long as his talent holds strong. Then he takes his new trident off to hunt down both gods and people. Yuki gasps in shock, realizing Poseidon was the true killer of Yui, not the blacksmith she thought was responsible. The only difference is that the blacksmith was tied to Poseidon because he forged the god's weapon. Yuki shares what he learned with Ra, yet it only leaves them wondering where Poseidon might be hiding. Yuki relaxes his guard, and the blacksmith springs up suddenly. He springs at Yuki to strike him down, but suddenly Poseidon's voice rings out from behind, telling the blacksmith he is done. Poseidon shows up with a dark and scary energy that makes everyone terrified. Then he sneaks up on the blacksmith and kills him, coldly saying the blacksmith has done his job. Surrounded by a dark, terrifying aura, Poseidon tells the blacksmith that his services are no longer needed. Poseidon shifts his gaze to Yuki and Ra, quickly realizing they each hold a god inside them. Yuki, meanwhile, can't help but wonder why Poseidon has shown up. Bandit sees the huge danger ahead and warns Yuki. He whispers to Yuki that they stand before the mighty god Poseidon himself. The deer also realizes that Poseidon has taken over his host's mind. Yuki turns to Poseidon and asks if he was the one who killed Yui. Poseidon stands there acting all arrogant and asking if Yuki said anything, even though Yuki just told him that Yui is his sister, and Poseidon still plays dumb. Yuki gets upset with the answers he is getting. Poseidon tells Yuki that he can't remember her face because he has killed so many people that he has forgotten them all. Yuki furiously charges at Poseidon, vowing to make him remember no matter what. But his punch never even connects. Knowing he cannot defeat Poseidon with force, he chooses to dive into his own memories and uses his mind-reading gift to reach out and touch the sea god's thoughts. In Poseidon's memories, he finds himself standing before Yui. Yui stumbles into a dark alley and finds Poseidon killing people. And because of this, Poseidon turns his eyes toward her. As she took her last breath, the only wish in her heart was for her big brother to be there,